Tech Talk provides technological updates and news for all. That includes gadgets, online apps, softwares, games and many more.
The rumors were true and the Android 7.0 Nougat release date was indeed August 22. Praises to Duarte. The Android Nougat update will roll out to support Nexus devices today. Until we can flash images and get into the nuts and bolts of what the latest version of Android has in store, all we've got to go on is the official Android 7.0 Nougat features listed by Google. Stay tuned for tons of news and our full Android 7.0 Nougat review, which will come in the next few days. As expected, Google is pushing Android 7.0 Nougat from today, August 22. The company has just put up the official Nougat page, which contains a rundown of the main user-facing features. From what we can see so far, it looks like the stable release going out today is very similar to Developer Preview 5. It complies for faster updates, VR mode, and Vulkan API support. Battery and data. DOS on the go for better battery management and new data saver for restricting data usage for background apps. Productivity. Split screen mode, picture-in-picture, and double tap to quickly switch. Notifications. Bundled notifications, direct reply, and notification controls. System usability improvements. Customizable quick settings, redesigned quick settings bar, redesigned settings, emergency information, and lock screen wallpaper. Emoji. Unicode 9 emoji. Privacy and security. New direct boot, seamless software updates, for new devices, file-based encryption, and scoped folder access. Device setup and migration. More settings are now covered by Android backup. Internalization. Multiple locale support, new languages, and new language preferences. Accessibility. Accessibility settings are now part of the setup, customizable display size, accessibility mono output, and variable text-to-speech speed. Android for work. New work mode lets you turn off notifications from work apps. Android Nougat release date. Google will be pushing the OTA to Nexus devices over the air, so keep an eye out for an update notification in your status bar. If you want to check manually, just go to Settings, then About Phone, then System Updates, then check for updates. A little background on the Android N release. This year, rather than wait until Google I/O 2016, Google released the first Android N developer preview on March 9, 2 full months earlier than expected. The Android N preview went live for the Nexus 6P, Nexus 5X, Nexus 6, Nexus 9, Wi-Fi and LTE, Nexus Player and Pixel C on the Android developers site. The first beta release candidate appeared during Google I/O on May 18, 2016. As predicted, the Android 7.0 Nougat release date was Monday, August 22. The 2016 Nexus devices. We're not entirely sure when Sailfish and Marlin, the Nexus 6P, 2016, and Nexus 5X, 2016, or whatever they will be called this year, will be arriving, considering the lack of concrete leaks we've seen to this point. But even if the 2016 Nexuses, both of which will be made by HTC, come out after Nougat, they'll probably still appear earlier than in previous years. For reference, the Nexus 4 was announced on October 29, the Nexus 5 on October 31, the Nexus 6 on October 15, the Nexus 5X and 6P on September 29. So we might see this year's Nexuses earlier in September rather than the end of the month if the progressively earlier announcement dates are anything to go by. But again, your guess is as good as ours. Other Nougat news. Fortunately for us, there has been a steady stream of pre-release leaks regarding Android Nougat and the new Nexuses. Obviously we'll know more when the images are live. But it's also important to note that some of the leaks you may have seen recently will possibly be Nexus-only features and not available on all devices running Android Nougat. Google has already spoken about offering special software features only on the Nexuses, and what we can only imagine is Google's idea of actually promoting its device line. Some of those features include navigation control via fingerprint scanner gestures and new Google Assistant features. Cat catching Easter egg. While this isn't exactly the most significant thing to be found in the fifth and final dev preview, it is the most fun. The Android N Easter egg is a peculiar cat-catching game based on pre-Pokemon Go era cat-catching game Nico Atsume, Nico meaning cat in Japanese. The premise is simple: lay out treats for cats, who will intermittently drop by, in your notifications, for a feed. Catch them and share with your friends. That seems to be it, for now, but we'll see how this one develops. New Google Camera with customizable volume button actions. The new Google Camera 4.1 comes preloaded on Android N Dev Preview 5, and it adds a couple of nice new features. First up, customizable volume key actions. This means you can tell the Android OS what you want volume up and down to do while in Google Camera. Choose from zoom, shutter and volume for now. The three on-screen settings, timer, HDR and flash, now show their options in a full-width view. When accessing previously taken photos, the Google Photos icon has been replaced with an All Photos label in the top right-hand corner, and you can now double-tap to zoom in instantly. You can no longer display manual exposure settings. VR mode options now appear in display settings. While we already knew about Android 7.0's sustained performance mode for VR, the setting is now showing up in the display settings in Dev Preview 5. At the bottom there is now a setting called When Devices in VR Mode with options for use slow motion blur settings and do nothing. Something tells me a teardown will soon reveal further VR mode integration. Android Auto Navigation is broken. This is hardly a feature, but it has cropped up enough on the Android bug tracker to warrant the attention of the Android team. Remember, Android N is a developer release, so things occasionally get broken. You can rest assured it will be working again by the time your devices get the official Android 7.0 update though. Seamless updates. This is one of the cooler features coming up in Android, and instead of being required to download an Android update, install it and reboot, Android N will automatically download and install it on a secondary partition. The next time you reboot your device, Android will switch partitions and you'll have the latest Android version without having to labor through the updating process yourself. The JIT compiler also means you'll no longer see the Android is upgrading screen following a reboot either. Multilingual Android users have always struggled with the rather limited support for more than one language in Android. Android N's new multi-locale mode aims to address that imbalance by allowing users to add multiple languages in order of priority, so the system can switch from one to the other when necessary. Apps that don't support the primary language will simply drop to the next on the priority list. Google Keyboard Themes. Google giveth and Google taketh away. Just as we lose the beloved dark theme for Android as a whole, we gain themes for the Google Keyboard in Android, and version 5.1 of Google Keyboard adds a bunch of colorful theming options, including the ability to set your own image background. Multitasking in Android N is an emotional roller coaster of proportions akin to the dark theme. The first dev preview had a bunch of new multitasking options, some of which were removed in Dev Preview 2. In Dev Preview 3 things change again. App switching between your two most recent apps by double-tapping the multitasking button remains, thank heavens, but the number of apps will be reduced to 7. The Clear All button at the top of the card stack has mysteriously switched sides, from left in Preview 2 to right in Preview 3. Launching multi-window mode in the Recents list is now activated by long pressing an app and dragging it up rather than left in Dev Preview 2. You can still enable a swipe up gesture on the Recents button to launch multi-window mode in the System UI Tuner settings. Vulkan is a sexy new 3D rendering API that promises to manage multiple cores in an even more efficient and fluid manner. Android and Dev Preview 2 now supports the Vulkan API so developers can start getting their apps ready. In the quick settings there's a new toggle for the calculator. While some will find this convenient, it is a little out of place, because it serves as a shortcut to the full app. It also doesn't serve as a toggle at all, because there's nothing to turn on or off or any further menu items to be accessed. This is one of those good ideas that probably won't get appreciated as much as it should be. Android N now has a setting that allows you to provide a link to your emergency information on your lock screen, including your name, blood type, address, allergies and other essential information that may be required if you find yourself in an accident and unable to communicate. It isn't in the best location yet, but this could easily change in future Android N previews, and it's not necessarily the kind of information you'd want being available to anyone that might steal your phone. But it's a step in the right direction at least.
Thank you for watching Tech Talk. For more news and updates, subscribe to Tech Talk.